when it started, I was oil pulling while reading the news on my phone. I'm not trying to feel like I'm in a nightclub, you know? Like, still waking up, you know? I'm not ready to feel like a nightclub when I'm still waking up. I'm a mystic. I don't ever want to feel like I'm in a nightclub ever again. Okay? Certainly not against my will at 9 a.m. while I'm waking up, while I'm doing oil pulling and reading my news. She's still out there. I mean, you want to talk about selfish? Somebody got on here yesterday and called me selfish. That bitch is fucking selfish. That's what selfish looks like. And you know what? I can't wear earplugs anymore because I think I'm getting an ear infection from having to wear them every night, all night to sleep in. Like, when I was eating an apple this morning. And every time I would chew, it would hurt really bad. And I'm having some kind of weird, like, hearing loss kind of thing. Like, my hearing is fucked up in both ears. I can really hear it if I try to listen to music through earbuds. Like, the inside of my skin is kind of raw on, just, you know, and, like, I don't know if the inside of my ear is just bruised because, like, the earplugs are really too big for my ears, or if it's an ear infection. It's, like, kind of feels like my head just kind of feels puffy over here. I hope it's not an ear infection because I don't want to have to run the risk of going to a doctor for anything. But I can't, like, I'm in a situation now where it's, like, even if people are being loud and rude, I can't just solve it on my own anymore by putting in earplugs because I'm already fucking up myself by doing that too much. But I mean, like, you know, there's no point in me going out and telling them because it's a parking lot, you know? Once they're gone, somebody else is gonna come here and do the same thing. Just like at the other extended stay hotel where I've stayed, I had a problem with in that one the door to each room opened directly to the outside, and the problem at that hotel was that whenever somebody would back into a parking spot that was anywhere near my room would get pumped full of car exhaust, and I would have trouble breathing, and I would be like, you know, afraid of carbon monoxide. So like, it would always be like guys with big, huge trucks. They're like just really like nastier polluters than just like, you know, other kinds of cars. So there was this huge, like, some kind of tree service truck that was, this guy used to back in directly in front of my room every night. And like, he would get in his truck and just sit there and idle for minutes, like just pumping that shit right into my room. Just sit there and idle and do nothing. And so I talked to management and they told him to stop backing in. So he did. But then, like, other people with trucks came to stay at the hotel and they would park in front of my room and pump the shit into my room. So finally then I asked the hotel if I noticed that the weather stripping around my door was missing. So like I could see daylight through, you know, the crack at the bottom, the crack up the side, the crack over the top of the door. I could always see, and like big centipedes would come through it. So I was like, can you just put some weather stripping on the door? And so they did that. But I mean, like, it mostly fixed the exhaust problem, but like even with weather stripping, sometimes in some places you could still see daylight, so like it was still getting through. And like when somebody would park in front of my room, I'd go stand over by the door, and when I stood over by the door, I could smell the exhaust coming through just those little, like a crack that's only like that big, where daylight was coming through the door. I could smell that exhaust coming through there. So it's like whack-a-mole, you know what I mean? Like you solve one problematic person and then another one pops up. The only solution for someone like me is to own my own property, and my throat still hurts from yesterday, so I asked Satan to just make it easier for me to make money so that I don't have to talk all day because it is hurting my throat too much. I asked him if he could just make it so that I don't have to talk so much and I can still make, you know, the money that I need. I was reading this news article today about how, like, recreational marijuana is about to be legal in, like 2 more states. And every time I read stuff like that, I realize that cause like whether I don't know whether or not it's gonna be legal or illegal for those people to smoke that stuff in public. Even if it's illegal, people are still gonna do it. So just like and I think just like how, you know, in parks it's illegal to have your dog off a leash, but everybody does it, you know what I mean? So and I've gotten hurt by that before, and I've also, even like here in Kentucky, pot's illegal, like no, there's no use that's legal here. It's all illegal for every kind of use. And even though it's totally illegal, like in the park that I used to walk to, it's like people just openly smoke pot there, just right out in the open. They don't even try to hide in the woods or anything. They even do it around the playgrounds where the little kids are with their parents. Like, they don't care. So, and you know, at hotels, people do it, and you complain to management, and they don't do anything. It's like, and then, like, at that hotel, extended stay hotel that I used to stay at, the pot smoke was so bad, and I kept getting high against my will from walking through people's smoke clouds when I'd leave my room. Like, I complained to management twice, and they didn't do anything. And then finally, like, my only recourse was to call the cops. So they sent out undercover officers that hung out in the parking lot. And I know, and the pot smokers, they know when somebody's out there like that, because I noticed that instead of pot smoke billowing out of their rooms, suddenly there was incense billowing out of their rooms instead, and no pot smoke. So that lasted for a few days, but then, of course, you know, it came right back. So, you know what I mean? Like, if I had been staying there longer, I would have had to just keep calling the cops probably once a week. But once it's legalized, nobody's gonna have any recourse. The cops aren't gonna be able to do anything. So it's like, once it's like legalized here, I'm in Kentucky, it hasn't happened yet, but once that happens, there's gonna be the only thing I'm gonna be able to do is, like, by that time I absolutely must have enough money to be able to buy myself a bunch of land somewhere that's kind of out in the country, probably, you know, or at least if there's some kind of, maybe I could buy just like a really huge lot in some kind of remote suburb or something that's not all actually out in the country, but just like my lot is big enough. Maybe I could have some woods behind my house or something. Like, I need to buy myself enough land so that I can take a walk that's 3 miles round trip, and I can do it all on my land that I own, where I get to set the rules. So, and like, nobody else is allowed on it. That way I'm going to be guaranteed to be able to take my walks, and I won't ever have to run into somebody's pot smoke. I mean, that's the point that it's going to get to. So it's really important for me to make a lot of money. I'm going to have to be like Kanye, just go out in the middle of nowhere. You know how he just bought a ranch in Wyoming? Because, you know, if I own the land, then, you know, because I read that, like, it was talking about one of these 2 states that have just legalized recreational marijuana is saying that, you know, landowners can still ban marijuana on their property, and employers can still require that their employees, like, test negative for THC. So I'm like, okay, so if I own my own land, if I'm out taking a walk and I catch somebody on my property, like, whether or not they're even smoking pot, if they're on my property, that's trespassing. So that's a reason for me to call the cops, and the cops do have the power still to remove that person. But also, I mean, it's my land, so if here, once they legalize it in Kentucky, if the case is that landowners get to ban marijuana from their property, then, I mean, if somebody's on my property smoking pot, I could call the cops, and they could haul them away for both trespassing and the fact that I, as a landowner, have banned marijuana use on my land. So it's 2 valid reasons that I could still get the cops involved, and they could actually come and do their job. But as long as if I'm renting, then I have no recourse whatsoever. I mean, I guess the other option would be like, if I could find some kind of gated community where they have like really, where it's like really super health conscious, upstanding, really strict people, and there's like zero tolerance for that kind of shit, you know, zero tolerance for bad lifestyle habits, like no alcohol within the community, no cigarette smoking, whether in private or in public, like you know, you can't even smoke a cigarette in your own backyard, you know, like some kind of homeowners association that would set those kind of rules for everybody, like, you know, I don't even want to be around shit like fireworks. I mean, that shit's dangerous. Some dumb kid, like my brother used to do this when he was a kid. Like, you know, one time he used to always love playing with fireworks very irresponsibly. He's lucky he never blew his fucking hands off. And my dad would just totally encourage this in him, just encourage him to be reckless and shit. So like one time, so my parents owned a house and you know we lived in it, and across the street, like, I'm pretty sure there's other people probably own their house too, and they had like a camper parked in their yard or their driveway, and it had like one of those pop-up tops, and I think the roof and the sides of it were some kind of fabric, you know, and so my brother like shot a firework, and it went through their camper's roof, like permanently damaged it, you know. I mean, like, this dumb kids playing with fireworks. I want to live in a community where people take shit seriously, where like people are grown-ups and, you know, they don't put up with dumb shit. So I want to live in a place where it's like no fireworks. 'Cause I don't want to fucking, you know, I don't want to get my hair burned off by some dumb kid like having bad aim with a firework. You know, I don't want the roof of my house getting caught on fire by some kid, you know, like shooting fireworks irresponsibly. I don't want to be around. I want to be in a community. Like, if I'm gonna live in a community with other people, it's like, yeah, and I want it to be gated, where you have to have like a code, or there's an actual guard that lets people in. A code would be better because guards can be corrupt. You know what I mean? I mean, like, I don't live in a place where it's like we keep the trash out of there. I'm serious. I don't want any trash in my life. I don't want any trash getting near my house. So I don't have to walk in any trash's cigarette cloud, okay? I don't want to walk through any fucking low-class trash's smoke clouds, whether it's pot, cigarettes, vaping, any of that shit. So, like, I mean, that would be, if I could find some kind of community that's like that, then, but I mean, it would have to be somewhere around here. I don't want to, like, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to have to pick up and move across the country or something, you know what I mean? And I like the land here, you know? I like the climate. I mean, I was saying before that I wanted to move somewhere that's like subtropical or tropical, but I don't have to deal with shit like hurricanes, you know? I don't like water. I mean, I'd rather just stay here and kind of deal with the winters. Well, I mean, I'm intending to become rich, so very expensive shouldn't be a problem for me in the future. I mean, old people are stupid too. Old people do dumb shit. Old people are alcoholics. Old people smoke. You know what I mean? Oh, also, if I live in some kind of gated community like that, I want them to be really, really strict about noise too. I'm talking about all day long. I don't ever want some fucking trash outside my house blasting music at 9 a.m. Not even on holidays. Because when I lived in the rental house with my parents, like, our next door neighbor was this guy who's a radio DJ, and he had speakers mounted outside his house, I think both on the front and the back, and like usually he would only like, I mean, sometimes in nice weather he would play it, but on holidays you were pretty much guaranteed that he would fucking who thinks that it's okay to do that? If you want to do that shit, you need to be way out in the country where nobody else is gonna hear you. Like, I mean, these houses were so close together. And it was fucking hillbilly music. okay? And he would have blasted on outdoor speakers. And if it was a holiday, it'd be like going into like, you know, like 10 o'clock at night. I mean, I don't even want my day, during sunlight hours, to be disrupted by some moron blasting music. I shouldn't have to be subjected to music against my will like that. I have to get off here and respond to my mom's text she just sent me.